averaging 15 on and off the court. Shout out to Josh Giddey. Oh, there's a lot of thundering in his world right now. All right, not as much thundering as the L's I've been taking. Nothing like when you win $45 in a day and then you spend all 45 of it the next day. Well, it's a protected pick, so I get half of it back. But it's crazy how one day you're hitting on all cylinders and the next day you wish someone just had a cylinder block to just come and smack you in the head before you place another bet. Oh, but yeah, Josh, apparently he likes to giddy up around the underage girls' horses. He probably likes going to those horse riding places and just kind of, scouting the landscape. But yeah, I didn't know he was Australian. Well, I guess that's how the Aussies get down. But yeah, it's kind of a weird, touchy situation. Well, touchy may be the wrong word. I don't know. We got P Diddy out here trafficking women, allegedly. You know what? My personal attachment to the P Diddy situation is he made my, young crush when I was young. It's kind of weird because I'm complaining about Josh Giddey being with 15-year-old girls, but yet when I was, 13 or 14, I liked Cassie, who was in her 20s, more than likely. So that makes me no better because you know what? You're wrong for being that young, being attracted to a woman much older. But then when it's the reverse, you want to have a problem with it. Yeah, it's a big deal because I had no chance with Cassie. Just tell me how you like it. Yeah. So you know what? He made now it explains a whole lot. Now we know why she shaved her head. It made no sense. She was beautiful. I mean, not that she wasn't then, but there was no indication that she needed to shave half her head. That seems like something that would happen when you're with someone that, may have some, let's just say, control over your life. And maybe it's a way to make you seem less, sexually attractive by the world. So they don't view you as a threat and they kind of keep you in line. I don't know, just throwing theories out there. But there's been a lot of rumors about P. Diddy. It's been like a rumor mill for fantasy football. It's just like this rumor, he didn't practice Wednesdays. Rumor. Yeah, apparently he used to have hotel parties with young men in their 18, 19, 20-year-old men, even 30s, sometimes even 40s, depending on what they need to do to get to the next. He kind of had a Harvey Weinstein, but at least Harvey kept it with women, At least he kept it traditional. Not there's anything wrong, but it's there's been a lot of suspectable things with the Diddy. But you know what? When you're a producer and you create iconic songs like I'll Be Missing You, songs you didn't even write, that the original is actually Sting, but you made the song a little bit more popular, I guess, because you used it as a tribute to Biggie to kind of capitalize off that, which more than likely he may have had something to do with Tupac and Biggie and all that stuff. But hey, what do I know? But yeah, no, you look at Diddy and the way he smiles. Look, I'm not into the whole Illuminati or worshiping the devil, but he looks like a guy that worships the devil. He has the whole Jesus cross as a cover up, and really it's to protect himself from himself, more than likely. Damn, look at Clint digging deep here, actually putting shit together on the spot. But and then apparently the JBP, the Joe Budden podcast, apparently in a recent episode, they kind of talked about the situation when it first came out. But apparently the next day there was a big settlement and all this stuff. And then since it was an ongoing case, you have to correct a lot of legalities. They record the pod, and then that day there was a lot of edits they had to do and talk about the subject. You know, and a lot of people are mad about it, but when you actually listen to responses like, oh, yeah, that actually makes sense. People say like, oh, he's trying to protect some industry friends and stuff like that. It's like, now he's trying to protect not being sued with the power of Diddy when he literally is worth like $500 million, probably close to $1 billion. Even though Joe has a pretty big company, he could wipe him out. And with that stuff, you do. Just ask Tasha K. Cardi B put on the bongos. She make Bodak Yellow come to life to Tasha K. But yeah. Gotta love it. So yeah, welcome to episode 237 of the Off and Beat podcast with Clint Nelson. I'm your host, Clint Nelson. Don't forget to like, follow, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Most important, ladies and gentlemen, don't forget to suck some titties. Recording this on November 25th at 12:56 a.m. Eastern. Yeah, Eastern. Not Pacific, just means Pacific. And yeah, it's been a little bit since I've recorded. Enjoying life. And by enjoying life, I mean being suffocated with the amount of hours that your position holds you accountable for. But hey, it's what we sign up for. Big paydays, big tax brackets, and not making any more money than you were before. You gotta love it. They said it'll be great. The extra money, it's great. And then all you're doing, you know what? I should probably shut up. I actually gotta watch what I say now. Not because anyone's told me, but you know what? I want to have some integrity. It's not my place to put out gripes you have with things. But I'll just say with more responsibility comes more, what the fuck am I doing? But I decided to try something different for the pod today. I wanted to bring back some of those old vibes. So for any long-time listeners, for any, what do we call it? Real ones, as the kids say. For all the non-haters, I hate when people call people haters. It's like, no, they're not haters. They just, you just suck sometimes. But today's sponsor and drink for the show is, we're back to the Ghost, the energy drinks. Because I remember, going back in the time machine, I remember going, when I would do those episodes and I would take one. Now, it's a terrible habit. The stuff in these drinks are not great when you're consuming 1 or 2 a day. But I do notice when I take them, it's like, holy shit, locked in focus. And I decided to get one of the most suspect flavors that I've ever gotten as a man in my life. Bubblicious cotton candy. There's nothing straight about a man drinking a blue and pink can named Bubblicious. Typically, Bubblicious is when you click the wrong category on Pornhub. You do not want cottonmouth. Even though sometimes it sounds like some of these girls have cotton mouth, when you're watching these videos. Look, I'm speaking of a retired watcher of these things. I don't actually watch that stuff anymore. Because you know what? I'm a new and improved man. I'm about preserving my energy, which I guess they call No Nut November. Failed mission. I'm like the challenger. I probably shouldn't joke about a thing where it blew up and killed people, but at the same time, it's been like 50 years. We've sold it for advertisement. It's cool. I'm like the challenger, Second got off the platform, busted. I'm kidding. Not in the spaceships. But just think about like how that's made. They spent years creating this rocket ship, going into space. All the greatest scientists, all the greatest astronauts, all the greatest, highest top of their field profession. And the thing doesn't even make it more than 100 feet, a couple hundred feet off the platform before it blows up. Almost like when P Diddy bombs your car, allegedly. Everything comes back to P Diddy. Stands the test of time. And I'll be missing you. Maybe he really wrote that song, guys. So when it's played at all the funerals of the people he, puts hits out for, they just play that song, ironically. A song that's produced and he's a part of, and music. Ironically, the people that he's responsible for maybe not being here on this earth anymore, they play his music at their funeral. It's kind of a slap in the face. And if this pod ever makes it off the ground, he's coming to sue me, I promise you. But you know what? What the fuck is he going to do, huh? Maybe the whole thing is like a hit piece, Maybe it is a cash grab by Cassie. But you know what? I'm typically not for people getting cash grabs. I'm not for people just trying to get some money. But you know what? For her being with you, one of the biggest titans in the music industry in the past 10, 15, 20 years. Everyone knows you kind of control who gets put on, who gets not. The woman who is with you for that period of time, you couldn't even elevate. You had to make a concerted effort to make sure her career didn't elevate. She was on the rise. She could have been today's in her lane Doja Cat. You don't think she could have been as big as Doja Cat? You don't think Cassie could make a better song than Paint the Town Red? Cassie was this beautiful. She was, honestly, she's better than Sierra. There's an unpopular opinion. Except Sierra, she bounced back after Future and got with Russell Wilson, who got paid twice. And they have another kid together. Congrats. P. Diddy was the Future, the Sierra, Future, the Sierra was what P. Diddy was to Cassie. Sierra was able to rebound. And Cassie, I think, was with some white dude named Alex. So, I guess it didn't. Yeah. So, going from Future to Russell Wilson is, however you view Russell Wilson from a money standpoint, it's not even close. Russell, now going from P. Diddy to whoever this Alex guy who probably climbs rocks for his free time, or maybe he was some tech guy, technically. But that's the blatant you know what? You probably cost her a lot of money that she could have made. So you know what? 30 million? It's a weird number. I don't know how they come to that number. Because honestly, if all the things that happened to me and all that stuff, I don't think there's really a number you could put to make it right. I mean, if that stuff happens, you got to hit them where it hurts. But you can't ask for so much that's deemed unreasonable, where it sounds like you're being unrealistic. But, any jizzaboo. There's a lot going out here in this tantalizing world. Sometimes when I look at the lights, I'm like, damn, sunlight is always there for my beautiful, beautiful skin, European descent skin. I don't know what happened if I ever did an ancestry lineage thing. Finding your roots. But Andre 3000 drops a Flute album. And honestly, I listened to part of a song and was like, this seems like some nice sleeping music. And that's not in a negative way because he's playing the flute. Like, that's actually a compliment. It's actually pretty soothing. I don't know how a music critic could break down a Flute album when typically they're breaking down hip-hop. I saw Anthony Fantano actually did a review of the album. I watched part of it, and I was honestly I've never seen him review an instrumental album. He's a music critic, music nerd, whatever, so he knows more than me. But the song, the album is an hour 27 minutes, but it's only 8 songs. But the titles on these things are fucking amazing. I think there was one, the first one is I couldn't make a rap album, so I made something like this instead. And they're these crazy current, it's you know what, actually, hopefully the audio's still here. I'm actually going to look this shit up because I was looking at it earlier and it was actually quite fascinating. I almost couldn't believe it. There was one about, bopping it. There was one about I don't know if it was Megan Thee Stallion, but there was some cool stuff in there. Let's see. This is an Outcast part. So the album's New Blue Sun. These are the titles. I swear, I really wanted to make a rap album, but I made this instead. The slang word pussy rolls off the tongue. This man's playing the flute through this. That night in Hawaii when I turned into... I can't read the rest here because it cuts off. Bipolar disorder's daughter wears a something. 93 till infinity and Beyonce. I feel honestly, as I'm reading this, he's making these titles for algorithm for keyword search purposes, which I don't blame him because they're so absurd. Which when you listen to an instrumental, it's always weird to kind of, because you either just name it something that would kind of describe the feeling you're listening to. Obviously, I hope when I'm listening to someone play the flute, I'm not thinking of the slang word pussy. I've never slang pussy to the flute. But no, seriously. Gandhi, Dalai Lama, and your Lord and Savior. Ants to you, gods to who? Dreams once buried beneath the dungeon. These are definitely shock factor. It was basically hey, here's the flute. I'm going to play some shit, put some absurd titles, and you motherfuckers are going to listen because you guys have been demanding me to make personal solo music for the longest time. Well, here you fucking go. It's me playing the flute, bitch. Maybe the next album, he should play the flute and drop, just one verse on it. And just have it be the greatest verse of all time. But you know what I do appreciate about it? It sounds corny. I do appreciate the fact that he just actually makes something that he enjoys. I don't think he's part of I have to see. I don't know if he's part of a record label. I didn't do research on that part. It doesn't say... Oh, it is. He's part of Epic Records, a division of Sony Music. So I guess he technically, if he makes music, he has to do... He probably has albums that he makes where he's I wonder if that conversation goes he goes up to Sony, he's like, hey, so I'm ready to actually make that next album. And they're like, yes, Andre 3000. This is going to be the biggest deal. We can market this shit. And he comes and turns in. He's like, hey, where's the verses? He's like, oh, no, this is it. And they're like, oh, well, based off the titles, we really thought you were going to, be rapping. And he's like, you know what's better than rapping? Playing Titanic music. I got the feeling of music. I got a feeling of movie soundtrack. Like some of this shit could have been played during the Titanic when, that bitch let Jack die on that freaking raft. Fucking cunt. God, it's still coming out of me. But yeah. But yeah, enough of the flutes. Let me give you the boot. And oh shoot, you're fired. Whoo, that is definitely bubbling in my chest. Whenever I want to get up in the guts, all right. So, if a chimpanzee crosses the bridge to Shanghai, does that mean Mulan is coming to town? That would just be saying some absurd shit. You know, he really kind of like, I can't believe I keep going back to 100. That reminds me of Panic at the Disco in their first album. When it was some weird shit. Like Panic at the Disco and Fall Out Boy. In their earlier music. They used to just have these crazy, like, I'm like a lawyer. And blah, 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 and then just be like, Panic at the Disco would be London becking these songs so you can sing. And then like, lying is the most fun a girl can have without taking her clothes off. Which, damn. These actually, I wonder if they made this shit up or they just went online and found some like deep Reddit line, like titles and stole them. But yeah. Oh, speaking of, I can't believe this is how long it's been. Like, I assume when I do this often, I've already talked. So Drake, Scary Hours 3. All right. So Scary Hours 3, as J. Cole would say. It never fails. It never disappoints. Whatever he said, the end of Evil Ways. Is it good? Yes. Well, I'll tell you what. I think the best part about when we get these small little, even though it's technically a deluxe added to For All the Dogs, which I felt like maybe is just because that came with the criticism. Because now it's like technicalities with streaming, you add it on, it's part of it, and when you add new music, it re-enters the whole discography in the algorithm, and you get like another boost. It's like this weird thing. But so let's just call it a separate EP, whatever you want to call it. What I like about it most is that I actually like it when it's just free-flowing, cheap instrumentals, and I mean that in a complimentary way. I think sometimes now in music, and I think it's kind of taken away from Drake's recent big albums, is everything is more focused on how new or cool the sample is, or, oh, where do they strip this from? And they make it so precise in everything and every like word has to be so precise, and it takes away from the flexibility of just talking and shit. And we get to Scary Hours, at least the way he describes how it goes, is that it happens in an inspirational moment. I think it's one of the few moments where Drake just, whatever happens, he gets into a mode where it's like he said for this, it was 5 days. He's just worked on all these songs and these verses and instrumentals. I don't know if it was from scratch. I doubt all of it was from scratch. But I'm going to say, he finally, you know what, we're actually going to just finally put this shit together. And he gets in, I think when you get to a certain point, when you have those rabbit holes, when you have those Groundhog Day holes where it's just like, for whatever reason, you just get in a momentum and there's nothing else that matters. You get tunnel vision. There's something about that, it brings you back to like the beginning before you made it, like that childish feeling of when you start something new, the great feeling of that initial feeling. You know, not to compare myself to The Boy, but, you know, The Boy had a starting point too, just without all the everlasting success after it yet. But you know what? One day. But don't worry, I'll have my comeback season. Huh? Get it? Alright, never mind. But like that album, like that mixtape, technically. Because that's what it is. Which I don't know what the fuck, like, a mixtape versus album. It's like fucking 18 songs on that shit. Mr. Please. But it's just where it's like obvious, egregious samples. And they're just using instrumentals and then they rap over it with some slight variation. So they can't call it their own music. But when he gets in these modes where it's just like, he doesn't give a fuck about, you know, how it's going to be perceived by the world, putting up full, because he's like, I'm going to put these like very laid, simple instrumentals where I have a lot of flexibility to just talk over it, and people are going to listen to me. Now, look, he's on beat and shit like that. But these are opportunities that's called scary because it's scary when someone doesn't have to answer to fitting whatever expectation he has to fill. And it goes back to the originality, the origin of why he does what he does, which is just rap. I have to worry about having this cool feature, having this beautiful 5-minute type of song that he has to have on every album now. It's not about it being long and drawn out. It's 3 to 4 minutes. Not much chorus, just fucking bar after bar. And you get a real full view of how Drake actually is, his introspective side of how he really feels about what's going on. Like he used to in his earlier albums, but as time, it's a lot more status. It's a lot more how much money he's fucking got. It's a lot more protective of what he puts out there. This is more of like the emotional but real side, ironically, and the shoe fits. It comes, he literally says, I don't know how anymore. But as in the song, he's saying he don't know how, but he's literally kind of revisiting. He's kind of actually accessing that part of himself where he does know how. But he's kind of telling you to your face, yeah, I don't know how, as he's doing exactly what he's telling you he doesn't know how to do. It's like when someone, you know, shits in your yard. And you're like, hey, man, why'd you shit in my yard? He's like, I don't know. And then you're like, you gonna clean it up? And then as he's cleaning up, he's like, I don't know how to clean it up. You know? It's like an embarrassing aspect. Like, I do still, as a grown man, I do still feel this immaturity, this toxicity, this feeling of woman having flaws and all this stuff. But I have to package it in a certain way and be a little passive aggressive more than ever about it. You know? But I think people like it because the criticism of the last album is, yeah, there's some rap and bars and like it wasn't a bad album, but it seems we're getting less and less of that. And when you get in these just pure, we don't really give a fuck how great the instrumental is with Drake. Let's be honest. Like, he has good instrumentals, but most of it is not because of the instrumentals why we listen to him. Like, Drake has reached a point, and certain artists reach a point where anything they speak, like, it could be over nothing. It could be over someone shitting over a toilet, and we will listen to it. The more time I think someone spends on the instrumental, I think it covers up more of what they probably lack and what they feel about their artistry or their pen game. And I think Drake likes to remind us that, like, hey, like, you know, it's kind of actually vulnerable in a way. Like, it's not the most highest quality. I mean, it's high quality, don't get me wrong, but compared to all this other stuff where it's all these switches and all, it's like, nope, it's a pretty simple, most of these instrumentals is pretty straight through, and it's just him that's dictating what he wants to do with it vocally. And where I feel like, why don't we get that from more artists? Why don't we get that from more bigger artists? Like J. Cole doesn't even. And J. Cole, like, apparently him and Drake, just like any song they do together is fucking fire. Now, the first person shooter was like that. And Evil Ways, the back and forth of on it was fucking actually what people wanted. But yeah, I think it's just a reminder, like, look, guys, I can still fucking do this, but I don't really want to do this. But yeah. So, I've officially, I don't know if you guys can tell, I like to protect my body at all times, but I have put on some LBs. And I don't mean just wearing a weighted vest to hit, weight. The thing is, when you sit at a computer, it's crazy how your body reacts to things. And it's crazy how when you're so used to doing one thing, your body adapts. And just like, you stay at the same place no matter what you do. You are forced to do something different. Your body adapts and it actually grows. Like, here's the crazy part. Just sitting and not doing as much actively while working out. And actually seeing what happens when my body actually doesn't do anything and it rests is crazy. Like, it's actually pretty insane in a short amount of time how much your body can grow. And maybe I'm just, as the kids say, maybe I'm just built different. But, they always talk about genetics. And I don't know my genetic advantages. I'm sure there are certain, I would say my experiences when it comes to building the body. My genetics lean more to my lower half than my top half, if you know what I'm saying. Oh, we can all lie. But no, I have great, well, not great, but when I'm truly training correctly and consistently with a good plan in my head, my legs will stay and grow as much as I grow it. Much work as I put it, it's going to grow along. Like, my legs, and I work out a couple times in a week, my legs are going to look great. And if I don't work out for a while and then I go back to it, it's going to stay. It'll be okay. Like, I use my legs in everyday life, so they stay where. Now, my upper body, my arms, I have to actively train. It's one of my weaker points. But when I do train, it's crazy that I used to think the whole genetic aspect of it was highly overrated. I always felt like it was just the work you put in. That's all that matters. And juice. But I think I'm starting to realize that maybe I've underestimated my genetics. Because I've seen a lot of people that work pretty hard and they're having a hard time gaining or seeing the results they want. And I keep getting compliments and reminded how improved and how much I've grown to people I see on a regular basis. Like, holy shit, the last time I saw you, you were like, dude, you're just putting on size like crazy. I'm not even really trying to do anything crazy. And I think, looking back at this is why I like going back to the ancestry thing. If I were to go, I wonder if I have a lot of natural muscle in my family. It's just I didn't learn to access or understand my body until a little bit later in life to actually maximize a lot of things. Like, always did sports, but we've seen the people who do sports for life and their physique is not. It's not as athletic as you would think. But they're athletic as people, and they're just good at the sport. There's a lot of people that look strong, but they're not that strong, and a lot of people that look normal, and they're strong as fuck. And I'll tell you the thing that's annoying, though, I will say, when you start looking when you look presentable as someone who's insanely strong, everyone wants to fucking arm wrestle you. Like you're in 8th grade. Especially people that are because they gotta find a way they're getting all this attention to Lucas. I gotta find a way to, remind them. Or I gotta find a way to humble them. It's like, bro, I would snap your elbow in half. I really don't want to do this. But it's like people always got to feel a need when they feel like there's some crack in your armor or some, crack in your asphalt. It's your asphalt while your ass is cracking. I'm such a fool. Talk about laying the foundation. It's called glutes. By the way, the most missed muscle when you are training legs that people miss is the hamstrings. People love training the quads because it's easy to do the leg extensions and they work. It's a good pump. It's a good feel. You can grow them. But if you have big quads and you have weak hamstrings, you're going to have a lot of injuries. And typically it's going to be on your knees because all your weight's slinging forward. Oh, look at this non-degree looking ass telling me about how my body works. It's like, okay. Go ahead. You know what? Skip your hamstrings. Don't do hamstring extensions. Don't actually squat where you actually power through your hamstrings. You know what? Keep just putting all that pressure in your quads. Then when your quads snap in half and it's shaking like a jello in a pudding cup. Can I get my pudding cup? You know what? I don't want to hear it. Maybe work on your ankle flexibility, your ankle strength, your foot strength. I don't know. It's just the ignorant fucks that just like want to say like, oh, you're not a doctor. You're not this. Like, yeah, you're not either. But you know what's funny? There are plenty. If you have a personal trainer who knows everything, but they look like and they can't perform exercises at a minimal level that you would expect someone. How serious are you going to take them with like, oh, you need to be more intense? It's like, if you were to do the workout you're putting me through, you would be struggling just as much. Now, it's not about putting down people who aren't as strong or anything like that. It is just weird when people are always talking about expertise in fields. But knowing knowledge but not actually applying it to your daily life or regular life is almost more insulting than someone who doesn't know anything and doesn't. It's crazy. Like you wouldn't have a dietitian sit here and express the importance of amino acids and the importance of vitamin B12s and stuff, and then it's like, oh, what'd you eat today? Like, oh, I eat out all the time. I get pizza. I eat candy all day. I drink soda. It's like, wait, but you're the director of the FDA? Yeah. It's like, but you're telling people these foods are bad, but then here you are eating these foods. Well, yeah, it's like, oh, okay. It's like, I'm not saying you gotta live a perfect life. I'm not saying you can't go fluctuations. But, I'm sorry, but like, you've got to be stronger than me if you're going to be my trainer. You've got to be you got to look better than me. Like, it makes no sense. I'm not talking about me personally. I'm just saying, like, if I was someone seeking. Like, if I feel like I actually know more based off actual experience and trial and error and doing shit. Here's the people, if you're looking to actually grow and get stronger. It's not the dudes that are in the gym every day. It's not the dudes that are in there all day, every day. It's not the dudes that work out and they talk about working out and they live the gym life where they have their big gym bag. They have pre-workout. They take these 4 different powders of vegan collagen, amino acid, BCAAs, protein powder, and pre-workout and all this shit. And they do this shit 6 times a week and they take all this shit. And then, no, you know who it is? It's a guy that goes a couple times a week. You see him pretty regularly, but not too much. You see constantly getting stronger. You see the intensity. And you see actual progress. And people who are consistently having progress for doing a period of time. Not just, oh, my body's new and it's grown. No. Those are the people you should ask and be like, what do you do? Tell me some secrets. Not the bullshit like, oh, all you gotta do is eat this many calories. All you gotta do is do this. It's like, no, actually, like, tell me, like, what do you do? That's shit that annoys. not the person that has all the information and they do videos online and then they talk about nutrition, they talk about working out, getting stronger, but they have no direct knowledge of what it actually feels when you do that stuff, and why sometimes if you're training at high intensities, why it's actually not great to just eat healthy foods all the time. Like, you should eat good foods, but sitting there and just like, oh, you need to eat only this amount of this, and it was like, yeah, you know what, you need to actually just, you need to have a good idea how your body operates and go from there. How about that? How about fucking that? Oh, Jesus. But see, this is me getting too over my skis, right? But you know what? You guys are the ones that hype me up. You guys want to call me Hercules, Jesus, and God forbid Thor. And by the way, I saw the commercial for Aquaman coming out on Christmas. That shit looks like absolute a waste of time. It actually, I didn't watch the first or the second Aquaman, whichever, however many they are. I feel like Aquaman, just by looking at the commercial, it doesn't see, I'm not saying it's a bad series or bad movies they got going on. It definitely seems like just because it's in a niche type of superhero type of feeling, because it's not the traditional Batman, Superman, Spider-Man type of thing where it's like mainstream. Like Aquaman was like kind of deeper in the, deeper in the comic book sphere. Like, people knew of Aquaman, but it wasn't like the main thing people were into, right? And now they're making the movies and stuff, and it's like, since it has, the production company attached to it, it's going to get marketing and advertisement. But it kind of seems like, we don't need to make movies off of every superhero character. Like, there was always the rumors about them doing, like, Gambit, for example. And there was always rumors that it would be Channing Tatum. Would he be a great Gambit? Well, actually, he did play Gambit in one of the X-Men's. But, like, making a whole, like, movie about it. And that's the thing, right? Like, I think there's just certain things where it's like, Aquaman would just be better than, like, an ensemble. Or it's like, when they did the Batman versus Superman, have, like, Aquaman versus The Little Mermaid. I don't know. That'd be crazy. Jason Momoa versus Halle Berry. Or not Halle Berry. Halle Bailey. One of the twin sisters. The one who's pregnant by DDG, but she's not pregnant, but they go out and she's always wearing clothing to protect her pregnancy. I don't know. It's always weird. Like, I don't get the whole protecting your stomach from people seeing that you're pregnant. It's like, people know the deal. It's like, I don't think anyone sees a pregnant woman. It's like, oh, how indecent of her to show that stomach, It's so weird, like, people, and that's the thing. Maybe she feels like, especially being the public eye, that if she is seen, even though she's pregnant, if she's seen looking overweight or something, she's got to worry about, oh, people are going to think I'm this. I may gain weight. My face may puff up and stuff. It's like, yeah, you're pregnant. Like, why is this an overprotective thing to protect everything? You're pregnant. And I get the other side. It seems like everyone's either overly reserved in their pregnancy or they're overly audacious about their pregnancy. Like, then there's the ones that are like 7.5 months pregnant, still going out, getting fingered in the porta potty, with no standards whatsoever. I don't know, It's like, I think it should just be it should just be like you go about your regular life, and then people see you pregnant, they don't, maybe don't wear, skin tight, because that may not be good for, the body in that state and condition. But shouldn't be wearing these big old XXXLs, like hoodies and all this shit. Like, it's really not that necessary. But that is a weird thing, right? Like, I can say Like, you would think pregnant would be one of those things that strangers would be like, that we as people would be like, hey, congratulations on your pregnancy. But nowadays, most people don't seem to be happy that they're pregnant. Both people don't seem to be happy. So if you see a couple in CVS, paying for some overpriced toothpaste, you just like, hey guys, I just want to say congratulations on your pregnancy. And they're like, yeah, thanks. Because they both are not happy that they're pregnant together. It's kind of odd thing, like how that should be something that we should, instead of going like, oh my God, your dress looks so great. Like, oh my God, dude, you're looking fucking great. Man, you must be going to the gym 5 times a week. How come we don't congratulate people, random people, on pregnancy? Like, if I saw someone, now I might think, like, if you see a woman pregnant, she seems happy, she's in, like, you know what? Why don't we just, pass it forward, pass it on? We pay random people in lines for, I'll pay for their food and their food. Anytime you got caught up in a line, and by the way, sorry, I know I'm going all over the place here, but if you've ever worked at a fast food place in the drive-thru, and you're at the window, and someone's like, hey, I'm going to pay for the guy behind me, and you're like, oh, great. Then you have to remember that the next guy's food is paid for. Next guy. And then they're like, you know what? I'll pay for the guy behind him. I'll pay. And you're like, why can't you all motherfuckers just come to a place and pay for your own fucking food? Why do we have to remember that you're paying for the guy behind you? And then you always got to that guy where they ask, wait, how much is the person behind me? And it's like, it'll be like, yeah, their food's $28. And they're like, yeah, well, the buck's got to stop somewhere. And you look at him like, you know what? I appreciate the fact that you're stopping this madness. It's like, yeah, man, I just came here, got a double cheeseburger, a couple double, like my meal's $5.50. I didn't ask anyone to pay for it. I did not come to McDonald's to pay $28 for anyone. Like, that was not my plans today. But like the passing it on thing, it's so fucking stupid. It's absolutely just a waste of time. It is fake generosity. It is just like, oh, look at us. This is like how much we have to create unnecessary generosity. Is that our idea of generosity is paying for the next person in line and creating the next 20 people paying for the person behind them. When if everyone just paid for their own shit, everyone would go about their day better. No one feels better because they paid $8 more than what they went to a place for. And that, and one thing I do appreciate about how society's getting all depressed and shit is things are getting less generous over time. I appreciate the fact that people actually are less happy during the holiday season. Because, when people are less happy, people are more rational. Happy people do irrational things. You're overly optimistic. Oh, life is going so great. Nothing could go wrong. When people are, stressed, annoyed, nothing to be happy about, they're like, I don't even want to pay for my own food. I don't even want to fucking be here. I'm already mad that you guys raised the prices 20%. Like, I fucking hate the sight of you telling me that my Big Mac combo is $14. I am not paying for this asswipe behind me in his G-Wagon that he's probably 3 months behind payment. His priorities should be other places. All right. So you know what? Fuck it. Fuck the holiday season. I am broke. Everyone told me Santa existed, and now Santa is making me come out of pocket. Maybe when you file your taxes, there should be a Santa tax where all the gifts you get, that's what really should be. Because you're selling this Santa propaganda to the kids. So it's like, if you're going to force me to be marketed and you're going to force my kids to believe that there's a Santa and expect shit, cool. I will pay for it now, but I want it as a tax write-off. So that's real. It should be called the Santa tax. I made the economy go great. I brought businesses revenue. They're making more money. So IRS, give me back my fucking money. All right. Jesus. pass it on. Fuck these ass wipes. All this stuff does is make you like really like question people. Like what the fuck do you get in your shit that costs this much? Like the weird people, like when you go to like Starbucks and shit. If you were to do that pass it on thing, and you're like, oh, how much the person behind me? 11. Oh, their bill's 11.18. It's like, I see one person in there. They're like, yeah, they got this drink, and then they got like this modification and this modification. That's like a $2 extra. It's like, I just look at them people like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, I know someone, I'm not going to say who, where, whatever. I know someone, for him and his wife. His wife goes to Starbucks 3 times a day and spends close to $16 a day. I think it's $16 to $18 a day on Starbucks. Now, look, they're married. You know, they share accounts or whatever. And when he started realizing, he's like, no. Like, he was like, no, you got to start paying for your own. Like, no. And he's like, the second I said, I'm not, you know, you're not getting Starbucks 3 times a day on the credit card. She only started going once every 3 days. Like, but it's like, that's the thing, you know? Yeah, that's the thing. That is the thing, eh? My body doesn't respond as well to this as it used to. Must mean I'm a healthy individual, right? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah? Okay. I think maybe I'll end the pod there. I'm kind of running on fumes. And so, yeah, that was episode 237 of the Off of Me podcast with Clint Nelson. I'm your host, Clint Nelson. Don't forget to like, follow, comment, subscribe, hit the notification button. Most important, ladies and gentlemen, don't forget to suck some titties. I think I forgot to say it at the beginning. You should never forget to say it at the beginning. And by the way, if anyone steals that tagline, my quote, in that manner for your podcast, I will pull up and I will cause internal bleeding. Sorry, that just reminded me of that infamous rap battle of the 2 dudes in a bar. And the one dude just kind of like, he's like, oh no, they were out in the park. He's like, I'm going to get a dagger. I think it was also, I'm going to get a dagger. I'm going to stick it in your chest. I'm going to twist it until you feel very uncomfortable. And then he pauses for like 5 to 7 seconds, thinking of his next line. He's like, and cause internal bleeding. It's the funny. That's one of those things, like, no matter what age I remember breathing, that it makes me laugh. It makes me laugh like a motherfucker. I don't know what it is. Yeah, I will pull up and cause internal bleeding if you steal my, don't forget to suck some titties. And I will file a trademark, and I'll finally be in the profit margins, and then I'll bet it all on Prize Picks. You know, I'll win it back. My brother just won $1,000, and here I am putting $5 bets, hoping to get 25 in return. Just goes to show, the apple does not fall far from the tree in all cases. Some people have a knack for this making money thing. I do at times, and I don't at times. Because that's the thing. It's not even like on days, you basically, that's kind of the draining part about when you're gambling, is like, if you place multiple bets, even if you don't, you place one. And then like in your 4-piece parlay, like the first game or whatever, the first action that happens in one of yours, it automatically like, oh, this is not going well. Because typically, if you got one thing wrong, it means you're going to get everything else wrong, because you predicted, you had the wrong idea what's happened that day. And like, you're not even coming close. And then you make another one like, all right, I got to make up a lot. You know, I'll get... And then it's the same shit. It's like, that's why it's different when you win. Like, you notice all your shit's hitting the green, or most of it. When you lose, it's like, you missed half of this. You were like 8 off on this one. This person's been injured for 2 weeks. Like, you're not even close. Like, it's just all pipes. But yeah, I'm going to put a pipe in this one. But yeah, all right. I'll see you guys later. Enjoy your day and night. And maybe this will be posted on the weekend. Not that this is a throwaway episode, but this is my getting back in the game episode. This is my Tim Boyle. Damn, like I picked the under on those 169 yards. In the first half, it was looking great. Then all of a sudden, the Jets want to run a functional offense and complete passes over the middle. You know, I hate when I see it. I'm sorry, I'm about to go. I hate when I see this shit. It's like, you guys always do this shit at the end of the games. I understand they're playing softer coverage. It's like, but the whole game, you guys are just throwing predictable, hike the ball, 2-step drop, look for the running back to get a quick completion, hope they break it. Like, it's the dumbest play call. Like, these are NFL quarterbacks. I don't care if they're second or third string. I hate when these play callers, Nathaniel Hackett, which is like, oh, see, it was just one experience in Denver. It's like, oh, really? Because maybe with Aaron Rodgers as quarterback, he wasn't that bad. But it seems like he goes anywhere else. Russell Wilson's looking pretty good right now. The Broncos have figured some shit out. He comes here, and now they have the worst third down conversion in the last 50 fucking years at 23%. You know how hard it is to only convert 23% of your third downs? And all of a sudden in the game, they want to run a functional offense. It shows, run what you did in that. Take it to the rest of it. Whatever you did in those last 5 minutes to get over the passing yards when I picked down there, do it the whole fucking season. How about that? And maybe your offense won't shit a brick like my toilet that won't flush. All right, the battery's dying. Gotta go. Jesus Christ. Fuck. Just run.